Out of everything that was revealed during the IDV livestream on May 4th, two big crossovers stood out, one with Frieren and the other with Paper Bride. A lot of people probably already know about Frieren, but I'm guessing not many are familiar with Paper Bride. That's why today we're going to talk about the IDV and Paper Bride crossover. To be honest, this one really caught me off guard. The Frieren crossover wasn't too surprising since fans have been expecting something like that. But the Paper Bride collab? That one was unexpected, at least for me. I don't know much about the game, and I'm sure some of you are in the same boat. So let's dig into what Paper Bride is, why Identity 5 might have chosen to team up with it, what the crossover might look like, and everything else we know so far. Paper Bride is a Chinese horror puzzle game that's been getting a lot of attention for its eerie vibe and unique storytelling. It's one of those games that blend folklore with modern gameplay, so it feels fresh, but also kind of ancient and mysterious at the same time. Imagine diving into a ghost story that your grandparents might have whispered about late at night, but you get to actually play through it. That's the kind of vibe Paper Bride brings. The game first came out in 2021, and it was developed by Heartbeat Plus, a studio based in China. It originally released on mobile platforms, especially in Chinese-speaking regions, but it started gaining international popularity later thanks to translations and word of mouth. It taps into traditional Chinese ghost tales and customs, especially things surrounding rural superstitions and wedding rituals, which is something you don't often see in games, at least not outside of Asia. Now, the story. The basic idea centers around this guy who's getting married. Everything seems fine and dandy at first, but suddenly, things get weird. On his wedding day, his bride disappears, and what follows is this creepy journey through cursed villages, haunted locations, and a mystery that goes way deeper than he expected. You're trying to uncover the truth behind the disappearance, and along the way, you're hit with a mix of horror elements, strange rituals, and disturbing secrets. Heartbeat Plus, the developers, did a solid job in blending these cultural elements into the gameplay. You can tell they really wanted to highlight local folklore, which sets it apart from Western horror games that usually focus on haunted houses, zombies, or serial killers. Instead of jump scares every few seconds, Paper Bride builds this slow, creeping unease, though it is undeniable that the jump scare in this game are quite plenty. The atmosphere is thick, and the tension stays high, because you're always wondering what kind of ritual or ghostly presence you'll run into next, or what kind of jump scare waiting for you next. What makes Paper Bride good is its unique setting and story. The folklore aspect is honestly a breath of fresh air. The hand-drawn art style is also really charming. It's detailed, a bit eerie, and fits the tone perfectly. There's a lot of care put into the aesthetics, from the creepy backgrounds to the unsettling character designs. Also, the puzzles are clever. They're not just thrown in randomly, they're actually tied to the story and the culture. You might have to decode traditional symbols, piece together clues from old folk tales, or solve riddles based on superstitions. That makes solving things feel more meaningful. Yet, this can be the game's downside, since not many people understand about the Chinese culture, and the game has many Chinese cultural aspects. When it comes to characters, you mostly follow the groom, who's basically the main character trying to figure out where his bride vanished to and what kind of supernatural mess he's walked into. Along the way, you meet villagers, spirits, and other creepy figures, all of whom seem to have their own secrets. The bride herself is a big mystery throughout the game. Is she dead? Possessed? A ghost? That's all part of the story you slowly uncover. There are also a bunch of side characters who add depth to the story, including old folks who talk in riddles, and angry spirits seeking revenge. The game works like a point-and-click puzzle adventure. You don't fight or run from things like in typical horror games. Instead, you explore rooms and environments, collect items, solve puzzles, and slowly unravel the story. A lot of the gameplay involves paying close attention to your surroundings, like maybe you find a hidden message in a painting, or you have to combine a few objects to unlock a ritual box. Some puzzles are straightforward, others are pretty brain-twisting, but they're always rooted in the world's logic, which helps it all feel immersive. There's also a lot of reading and interpreting, since many of the clues come from notes, scrolls, or signs with symbolic meanings. So if you like games that challenge your brain more than your reflexes, this is definitely one to try. It's also the kind of game where it helps to take notes or screenshot things, since a hint you saw an hour ago might be the key to solving something later. As for how the game's doing, it's actually gone through several sequels. After the first game did well, they made Paper Bride 2, and even more parts followed, each one expanding the lore and exploring different locations with similar creepy themes. Fans of horror and mystery games have been eating it up, especially those who enjoy puzzle solving. It has a bit of a cult following now, as it can be quite satisfying to discuss theories and hidden meanings behind the game's symbolism and story elements. It's not a global blockbuster or anything, but in the niche horror and indie game circles, it's definitely earned some respect. In the end, Paper Bride is the kind of game that stands out because it doesn't really follow the usual horror game formula. It's spooky in a thoughtful, cultural way. The story keeps pulling you in with its mystery, and the puzzles make you feel smart when you finally crack them. Sure, it's not perfect. Some of the logic can be tough, especially without cultural background, and earlier translations were a bit rough. But overall, it's a unique and memorable experience. If you're into horror, mysteries, or just want something different from the usual zombie fests, it's definitely worth checking out. So in this game crossover, we've got 3 characters from the Paper Bride games showing up: Nie Moli, Xiao Qi, and Tao Mengyan. Let's talk about each of them. First up is Nie Moli. She's a big deal in the very first Paper Bride game, and honestly, she's the reason a lot of crazy stuff happens. She's actually the twin sister of the bride the main guy was supposed to marry. Here's the messed up part though. Nie Moli was abandoned because some fortune teller said she'd bring bad luck. She got adopted, but she was always really bitter and angry about how her real family treated her. Even though Molly grew up smart and learned a lot, she never got over being abandoned. So, when her sister was about to get married, Molly used some dark magic and tricks to switch places with her at the wedding. Basically, she swapped souls with her sister and pretended to be her, all to get back at her family for what she felt they took from her. The rest of the story is about figuring out this whole twisted plan and trying to get the real bride back. When you look at the story, it makes sense why they might have the perfumer, Vera Nair, play Nie Moli. Their backgrounds have some pretty big similarities, and that's exactly what's happening. The perfumer is getting a skin that makes her look like Nie Moli. Next, we have Tao Mengyan. She's the main character in Paper Bride 2, Zangling Village. This game is different from the first one. Instead of playing as a guy looking for his missing bride, you play as a woman who goes back to her old village because she keeps having weird dreams. As soon as she gets there, things get really strange. Tao Mengyan finds out that the village still does these creepy old ghost marriage things where they try to marry living people to dead people. And guess what? She's next in line. But Tao is smart and brave, And she's not just going to sit around and let it happen. She starts digging around, trying to find out the secrets behind the village's history, including a sad love story about two people who used to live there. There's a picture of Tao Mengyan that looks a lot like Qi Shi from IDV. I think that's probably why NetEase decided to put Qi Shi as Mengyan in this crossover. Plus, Mengyan is Chinese, and so is Qi Shi. Finally, let's talk about Xiaoqi, the character from Paper Bride 6. He comes from a family that's known for building these special spiritual towers, kind of like pagodas, that are supposed to help with spirits. Even with that background, Xiaoqi's life is a mess. Spirits from his own family line are possessing his body, so he's not really in control of himself. This is pretty similar to how Orpheus, our own IDV character, doesn't have control over his own personality. That's why Orpheus is going to be playing Xiaoqi. Throughout the game, Xiaoqi is trying to figure out what's going on with him and how to get his body and soul back together. His sister, Xiaoxi, helps him a lot, and their relationship is really important for keeping him grounded. Besides all this spooky stuff, Xiaoqi's story also talks about figuring out who you are and eventually forgiving people, which are things that Orpheus has been dealing with too. According to IDV News', all the skins in the Paper Bride crossover will be Echoes exclusive. Among them, Perfumer's skin, Nie Moli, will be S tier, while the rest will be A tier. This might be disappointing news for free-to-play players, since Echoes can get quite costly, and none of the skins will be available through regular gameplay or Logic Path events. Still, die-hard fans will probably go all out to catch their favorite skins, especially those who are also fans of Paper Bride. Right now, there's still no official release date for these skins, but if I had to guess, they'll probably drop after the Freerin crossover, which is expected this summer. That means the Paper Bride event could arrive around autumn this year, though, of course, that's just speculation. If you're planning to grab any of these skins, now's the time to start saving up Echoes. They won't come cheap, so every bit helps. When you think about what Identity V and Paper Bride have in common, it actually makes a ton of sense why this collab is happening and why it works so well for both games. Here's why I think Identity V decided to team up with Paper Bride. First off, both games absolutely love horror and storytelling. Identity V leans into that spooky, gothic multiplayer experience, but still has a big focus on lore, while Paper Bride dives deep into eerie, emotional tales through puzzles and solo exploration. Even though they're different in how you play them, the mood and atmosphere are really similar. Dark, mysterious, with a touch of sadness or tragedy. So, from a style and theme point of view, they just click and feels perfect. Next up, there's the cultural connection. Paper Bride is deeply inspired by Chinese folklore and ghost stories, which gives it such a unique charm. Since Identity V already has a huge player base in China, this collab is a cool way to lean even more into that cultural vibe. It's not just about adding unique skins, it's about bringing in characters and legends that have meaning and depth, especially for players who love that folklore flavor. From a marketing point of view, it's honestly smart for both sides. Paper Bride gets a chance to reach a bigger, possibly international audience, especially among players who might not know about it yet outside of Asia. And for Identity V, it keeps things fresh and exciting by tying in with a rising horror series that already has loyal fans. Crossovers like this are fun for longtime players and also make newer fans curious to check both games out. And let's talk about the visuals. Paper Bride has some seriously gorgeous and creepy designs. The ghost brides in red dresses, old village temples, cursed charms, and all the eerie little details. That's prime material for amazing skins, accessories, or limited time events. The IDV Publishers, as we know, is really good at turning collab material into stylish, lore-friendly cosmetics, and I bet this one's going to be just as impressive. Lastly, let's not forget that the fan bases probably overlap a lot already. Players who enjoy deep lore, ghost stories, and a good scare here and there likely know and love both games. So this collab kind of feels like a finally moment, like something fans have been hoping would happen. It's fan service done in a smart and thoughtful way. All in all, this collaboration makes total sense. The two games share a spooky soul. They complement each other culturally and creatively, and they both have a lot to gain from teaming up. Whether you're here for the horror, the fashion, or the lore, it's a win for everyone. What do you think about this crossover? Excited? Disappointed? Let me know in the comments. Up next, I'll be covering another crossover event, so stay tuned. For now though, that's all from me. Thanks for watching. Silmina, signing off.